And we talked with the Oregon Health Authority about the deadly case here in Oregon. The person who died was vaping THC oil. OHA said today they haven't conclusively linked any product or determined if it was contaminated or modified.
Until we figure out what's going on here, we can't tell you which products specifically are going to cause even this really severe illness. So we encourage everybody not to vape.
People who died in Minnesota and California were also vaping THC before. Health officials in Kansas, Illinois, and Indiana haven't released details about their cases. Many people are reporting vaping THC, a minority vaped just nicotine. In most THC samples, investigators found vitamin E acetate, which a lot of black market sellers use as a thickening agent. The FDA says it's dangerous if breathed in. But in the case of the Oregonian who died, the person bought THC products at 2 OLCC licensed dispensaries. And a man I interviewed earlier this week who says he got sick from vaping, this is him on your screen, he bought his THC and nicotine products legally. Now, in that press conference earlier in Seattle, King County's public health officer shed light on what he thinks is going on.
We know that e-cigarettes and vape devices contain potential toxins, a large number of potential toxins, and there's no long-term safety studies on e-liquids. These ingredients, many of which are deemed to be safe by FDA, are deemed that way for ingestion, not for smoking. They get heated up. They can be combined in many ways and result in unanticipated adverse health effects. I also believe that something has changed recently in the states that are reporting cases, either in the way users are using products or the availability of specific products that have a higher risk.
I reached out to the Oregon Liquor Control Commission to find out if products in Oregon dispensaries have that vitamin E acetate. Spokesman Mark Pettinger says it is possible, but not in any products they approved. OLCC tests marijuana products for pesticides, solvents, and potency, but they don't test any additives that go into cartridges with marijuana oil. They require licensees to list ingredients and also provide them documentation on where things come from. Based on the labels they approve, Pettinger says there are no products where vitamin E is listed as an ingredient. However, again, it's possible the licensee just didn't report it. And if that's the case, of course, their license could really be in jeopardy. Pettinger says the agency may consider banning some additives in randomly testing retail marijuana products moving forward, but they're waiting to find out what exactly is causing people to get so sick before they decide. Back to you.
Something new to think about every day. We'll see what comes tomorrow. Morgan, thank you.